What if the greatest act of love isn't found in gentle whispers and soft caresses, but in the raw, terrifying act of surrendering your deepest pain to the one person you're supposed to hate? What if healing doesn't come from fixing what's broken, but from finding someone brave enough to love the shattered pieces? We are often told that love is a safe harbor, a gentle shore. But for some, love is a storm. It's a tempest of clashing wills and wounded hearts, and the only way through is to let the waves crash over you together. Today, we're diving into a story that challenges every conventional notion of romance, a story that suggests true intimacy is forged not in perfection, but in the beautiful, brutal honesty of our shared damage. Welcome, fellow story seekers. The book we are about to unravel is Keep Me by USA Today best-selling author Sara Cate. And on the surface, this might seem like a story you've heard before: a grumpy, reclusive Scottish billionaire, a feisty American girl in over her head, and a marriage of convenience that's doomed from the start. But I promise you, that is merely the shoreline of a vast and turbulent ocean. The central problem of Keep Me is not about a fake marriage. It's about the very real prisons we build for ourselves. It's about the profound, suffocating loneliness that comes from a lifetime of being misunderstood, of feeling unloved, of believing you are fundamentally broken beyond repair. Our two protagonists, Killian Barclay and Sylvie de Vierox, are trapped in cages of their own making, one of grief and guilt, the other of neglect and defiance. They are two souls adrift, convinced they are destined to be alone. The grand promise of this book, the reason it will grip you and refuse to let go, is its exploration of a radical, unconventional cure. It proposes that sometimes, the only person who can see the key to your cage is the one person you've mistaken for your jailer. Sara Cate doesn't just write a love story, she orchestrates an emotional collision. She asks us to consider that perhaps the most profound connection isn't about finding your other half, but about finding the one person whose broken edges fit perfectly against your own. This is not just a romance. This is a story about the devastating, beautiful, and ultimately life-altering power of being truly, completely seen. Prepare yourselves, because this is the journey of Sylvie and Killian. Our story begins not with a meet cute, but with a crime, or at least what feels like one. We meet Sylvie de Vierox, a woman running on fumes and recklessness. Cut off by her wealthy, emotionally absent artist parents, she is adrift in a world that has always valued her as a concept, never as a person. Her boyfriend, Aaron, a man of predictable ambition and little passion, has dragged her to Scotland on a genealogical whim. His great-great-grandfather, a writer of some renown, apparently once used a typewriter that now resides in a grand, imposing estate called Barclay Manor. And for Sylvie, who lives her life as a series of impulsive dares against a world that expects nothing from her, this is an irresistible challenge. Aaron, ever the rule follower, is content to stare from the road, intimidated by the private property sign. But Sylvie sees an adventure. We came all this way, she argues, her voice laced with the desperate need to feel something. When Aaron refuses to drive up, Sylvie's frustration boils over. She sees a woman, the very picture of a walk of shame, leaving a side door of the manor, and that's all the invitation she needs. The door is unlocked. A path is clear. Ignoring Aaron's frantic protest that she's unhinged, Sylvie sprints through the rain, her heart pounding with a familiar cocktail of fear and adrenaline. This is Sylvie. She's not a villain, but a product of profound neglect. A woman who has learned that the only way to feel alive is to push every boundary, to prove she exists by breaking the rules that were meant to contain her. Inside the manor, she finds a world of updated luxury, a place that smells of spice and musk, and a library that feels like it's straight out of a fairy tale. And there it is, the dusty old typewriter. She snaps a few pictures, a triumphant gotcha on her lips for Aaron, but a creak in the house sends her scurrying. Her victory is short-lived. As she reaches the bottom of the grand staircase, an enormous hand clamps around her arm, and she's hauled to a stop. She looks up into the impossibly green, angry eyes of a giant, Killian Barclay. "Who the fuck are you?" he bellows, his voice a deep Scottish brogue. This is our first glimpse of the man who owns the manor. He is not a prince in a castle, he is a beast in his lair. The confrontation is brutal. He assumes she's a spy sent by his meddling sister, an assumption fueled by a deep, simmering paranoia. He corners her, his size intimidating, his words a mix of threats and sarcastic propositions. He's cruel, volatile, and terrifying. When he sees the phone in her hand, he snatches it, and with a horrifying finality, stumps it to pieces on the hardwood floor. "You tell my bitch of a sister that she's not getting my house," he growls. "Now, get out." Sylvie, for all her bravado, is shaken. She flees, her heart hammering, leaving the broken pieces of her phone and a piece of her audacity on his floor. She tells herself she's never going back. But fate and a very manipulative contract has other plans. The story catapults forward. Back in New York, Sylvie's world implodes. A single, scalding, hot cup of coffee hurled at the naked back of her cheating boyfriend, Aaron, who she finds in bed with her best friend, Margaret, marks the end of her old life. She is now utterly alone, broke, and facing eviction. Just as she hits rock bottom, a ghost from her Scottish misadventure reappears. A beautiful, poised woman named Anna Barclay, Killian's sister, is at her door, and she has a business proposal. Anna, we learn, is the orchestrator of a grand, desperate plan. Killian, her older brother, has been a recluse for over a decade, ever since their parents' tragic death. He has, in her words, turned their ancestral home into a house of debauchery and parties. A place of scandal that the rest of the family wants to reclaim. The family trust has a strange, archaic clause. If Killian remains married for 1 year, ownership of the manor transfers to his wife. Anna's plan is as cold as it is audacious. She wants to hire Sylvie to marry her brother, wait out the year, and then sign the deed over to the family. The price for this deception? $10 million. Killian, she explains, has been tricked into believing the marriage is a public relations stunt to improve his reputation and appease the family, thus allowing him to keep the house. He has no idea it's a plot to take it away. Sylvie is horrified, intrigued, and, most of all, desperate. When Anna reveals she knows Sylvie has been cut off financially, the choice becomes stark. But what seals the deal isn't just the money. It's Anna's final, manipulative twist of the knife. When Sylvie asks why she was chosen, Anna reveals what Killian said about her after their first encounter. He said you were the rudest, meanest, most infuriating woman he'd ever met. And then, the kicker, and that made you think I'd be a good fit for this? Sylvie asks. Anna shakes her head. No. But he did. This is the hook. The idea that this brute, this monster somehow chose her. For Sylvie, who has spent her life feeling invisible, the twisted logic is irresistible. A painful, tear-filled confrontation with her own mother, a woman who views her as a childish disappointment rather than a daughter, is the final push. In an act of defiance, Sylvie makes the call. I'll do it. I'll marry your brother. And just like that, her life is no longer her own. She is bound for Scotland, for a fake marriage to a man she despises, a man who is being systematically betrayed by the very people who claim to love him. Her arrival in Scotland is a plunge into a cold, hostile world. The first time she sees Killian again, he is entertaining a woman upstairs. The sounds of sex echo through the manor, a stark reminder of the man she's now contractually bound to be faithful to. Their first conversation as an engaged couple is a battle of wills. You again, he says to her. I was invited this time, she retorts. They are two predators circling each other, their every word laced with contempt. The wedding itself is a rushed, impersonal affair in the garden, a charade for a handful of family members who are all in on the lie. His brothers, Declan and Lashi, greet her with varying degrees of warmth and suspicion. The ceremony is a blur, but the moment Killian's hand, large and rough, takes hers, something shifts. He hates this as much as she does, and in that shared misery, she feels a flicker of an alliance. The kiss is brutal, harsh, a performance for the crowd, his beard scratching her face. The wedding reception is a nightmare of pretense. Sylvie is paraded around, forced to invent a love story for a man who won't even stand next to her. She seeks refuge outside, only to run headfirst into Killian, smoking a cigarette in the dusk. Their argument is raw and revealing. He calls her selfish and entitled. She throws his family's conspiracy in his face. It's here, in this heated exchange, that we get the first real clue to the truth. His younger, kinder brother Lachi finds them. He pulls Sylvie aside and confesses the real reason for this elaborate scheme. It's not just about the parties. The truth is, he says quietly, we don't think Killian has left the house in nearly 10 years. Suddenly, Killian is not just a grumpy billionaire. He's a prisoner. The man who seems so powerful and intimidating is, in fact, trapped. Lachi reveals the family's grief over their parents' death, and how Killian fell apart, secluding himself in the manor. The parties, the women, the anger. It's all a desperate attempt to feel something, anything, within the walls of his self-imposed prison. He suffers from agoraphobia, a truth his family has decided to cure with betrayal rather than compassion. This revelation changes everything for Sylvie. The brute has a wound, a deep, festering wound that no one has bothered to truly see. The story then settles into the strange, tense rhythm of their cohabitation. Days are spent in silence, acknowledging each other only with glares. But the foundation of Sylvie's hatred has been cracked. She begins to see the man behind the monster. The first real thaw comes after the wedding night. Drunk and belligerent, Killian stumbles through the house, crashes, and cuts his hand on a broken glass. Sylvie, initially determined to leave him to his fate, finds she can't. She goes to him, cleans and bandages his wound as he sleeps. It is the first act of care between them, a silent admission that she sees his pain. Their relationship builds on these small, volatile moments. They fight constantly, their arguments like fire. But underneath the anger, a different kind of heat begins to smolder. One night after a disastrous party with his university friends, a party Sylvie insisted on, their animosity explodes. The party is a glimpse into Killian's past life, a world of partner swapping and reckless debauchery that Sylvie is both repulsed and intrigued by. When one of Killian's friends, Liam, gets too aggressive with Sylvie, Killian's possessiveness flares. He drags her to his room, and what begins as a screaming match over jealousy and control ends with them on his bed. "I hate you," she whimpers as he grinds against her. "I hate you too, darling," he replies, and the line between hate and passion blurs into nothing. They don't have sex, not fully, but the encounter is a raw, explosive release of the tension that has been building for months. It's a promise of what could be, and it terrifies them both. The true turning point comes months later, with another visit from Anna. This time, she pushes for Killian to attend a New Year's Eve party at their Aunt Lorna's house. The aunt, we learn, is the primary force behind taking the manor. Killian refuses, but Sylvie, bribed by Anna with an extra $10,000 and driven by a burgeoning, reluctant desire to help him, makes it her mission. She uses their newfound physical connection as a weapon, teasing and tempting him. In a moment of surprising tenderness, she gives him a haircut, trimming away the long, wild hair he's hidden behind for years. As her fingers work, their guard drops. He asks her why she writes, and in his question, she feels seen in a way she never has. The haircut is a symbolic act. She is chipping away at the armor he wears. He agrees to go. The journey to his aunt's house is fraught with a tension that has nothing to do with anger. Killian is having a panic attack, his hands gripping the steering wheel, his jaw clenched. This is the first time he has truly left his safe zone in 6 years, and he's doing it for her. Sylvie, seeing his vulnerability, takes his hand, her simple touch a lifeline that quiets his shaking. At the party, Killian's family is stunned into silence. Seeing him there, looking handsome and composed, is a victory. But his Aunt Lorna is a venomous creature. She insults Sylvie and belittles Killian, and blaming him for his parents' death. And in that moment, Sylvie's protective instincts ignite. She confronts the old woman, her voice shaking with a rage she didn't know she possessed. "You are nothing but an old hag, and you don't care about Killian at all," she snarls. "So if you know what's good for you, you'll leave him alone." Killian, witnessing this, sees not an unhinged girl, but a warrior. He pulls her away, and in the car ride home under the burst of fireworks, he kisses her with a reverence that shatters her defenses. "I need to be inside you, Sylvie," he whispers. "I need to make you my wife." What follows is not just sex. It is a claiming. He ties her to his bed, not with malice, but with a desperate need to feel her trust. He worships her body, forcing her to an earth-shattering orgasm before he finally takes her. In their shared climax, something permanent is forged. "You're really my wife now," he tells her, and she knows it's true. Their love blossoms in the months that follow. The anger is replaced by teasing, the silence by a comfortable intimacy. But the contract looms over them like a guillotine. Sylvie's world is thrown into chaos by a surprise visit from her parents. Their visit is a masterclass in emotional abuse. They belittle her writing, criticize her life, and dismiss her feelings. Her mother's final words are a poisoned dart. "What an entitled little bitch you've turned out to be." And it's Killian who explodes. He physically throws them out of his house, defending Sylvie with a ferocity that mirrors her own defense of him against his aunt. "Because I love her, you fucking twats," he roars. This is the peak of their shared universe, the moment they become a true fortress for one another. But it's also the moment Sylvie realizes the depth of his trauma. While on a weekend trip to the coast, another milestone in his recovery, Killian suffers a debilitating panic attack. In the aftermath, he finally confesses the whole truth about the night his parents died. He was in the other car. He saw their headlights swerve toward him. He collided with them. He survived, they didn't. It wasn't his fault. His father was drunk. But the guilt has been his prison ever since. Hearing this, Sylvie understands. She cannot be a party to the contract any longer. She cannot take this house, his only sanctuary, from him. She confronts Anna, begging her to call it off, but the legalities are airtight. The only way for Killian to keep the house is if their marriage fails, if she breaks the contract, if she leaves. And so, in an act of ultimate sacrifice, she packs her bags. Killian, broken by Anna's confession of the entire plot, doesn't fight her. He believes he is poison, that he will only drag her down. If you truly want me to keep my house, he tells her, his voice dead, then walk away. And she does. She walks away from the only man she has ever truly loved, believing it's the only way to save him. So, what makes Keep Me so radically different from every other book in the billionaire or arranged marriage genre? It's the unflinching, profound exploration of trauma and the unconventional path to healing. This isn't a story where love is a magic pill that instantly cures deep-seated psychological wounds. It's a story where love is the act of sitting with someone in their darkest moments and simply refusing to leave. The BDSM elements, which could be superficial in other hands, are used by Sara Cate as powerful metaphors for trust and surrender. Killian's need for control in the bedroom is a direct reflection of how out of control he feels in his own life. Sylvie's willingness to submit to him is the ultimate expression of her trust, a trust she has never given to anyone, especially not herself. The unique essence of this book is its emotional honesty. It's raw, it's messy, and it hurts. This book is for the reader who craves more than just a fairy tale. It is for the person who understands that we are all a collection of our scars, and that true love is not about erasing those scars, but about learning to cherish them. It's for anyone who has ever felt like an outsider, like they were too much or not enough. This book is a sanctuary for the beautifully broken. However, this book is not for the faint of heart. It is not for someone looking for a light, breezy read to pass the time. The themes of emotional abuse, PTSD, grief, and agoraphobia are handled with weight and seriousness. The sexual content is explicit and intense. If you are looking for a simple, sweet romance, this is not it. The single most valuable takeaway a reader will be left with is a profound understanding of what it means to truly keep someone. It's not about possession or control. It's about creating a space so safe that the other person feels free enough to fall apart, knowing you will be there to help them put the pieces back together. It's about recognizing that sometimes the greatest strength is found in the courage to be vulnerable. We began this journey by asking what happens when love is not a safe harbor, but a storm. Keep Me is the answer. It's the story of two people who were drowning in their own private tempests until they found an anchor in each other. Killian's final act of leaving his home, of crossing an ocean to find Sylvie in New York, is not just a grand romantic gesture. It is his ultimate act of healing. He finally understands that home is not a place, it is a person. This summary is just the map, a glimpse of the coastline and the promise of what lies beyond. To truly experience the storm, to feel the gut-wrenching pain in the soul, shattering ecstasy of Sylvie and Killian's love, you must take the journey yourself. You have to let Sara Cate's words wash over you. The link to purchase Keep Me is in the description below. This isn't just your next read, it's an experience that will stay with you long after the final page. Trust me. Go on this journey. And as always, if our time together today has sparked something in you, please like, subscribe, and join us again as we seek out another life-changing story.